My name's Jane Mitchell and I'm one of the directors of NAOTP, which is the National Association of Therapeutic Parents. And if you've not heard of us yet, then please may I suggest you go and look for us at www.naotp.com, where you will find that we have lots of useful resources, and we have lots of ways to support you if you would like to take a look at what we offer. That would be great. But today, the reason that I'm speaking to you all today is because we have a Facebook page which is part of our peer support programme. And what I've really noticed over the last few weeks is that lots of parents are suddenly finding their children are getting a little bit worried, a little bit anxious. There's a few more behaviours emerging again which are really quite challenging behaviours, and what those behaviours always mean to us is that it's a sign that our children are feeling anxious about something, something's worrying them, they're feeling unsettled, and then their behaviours start coming out to give us that clue that that's how they're feeling. And I always like to remind everybody that behaviour doesn't happen in a vacuum, it doesn't ever come out of nowhere. It arises from a point of stress, whether that's happy stress or sad stress, and then you get the behaviours that let you know that your child really needs a bit of additional support right at the moment with what's going on with them. And this is particularly true, of course, of children that have developmental trauma. In the NAOTP, we absolutely understand about children with developmental trauma, whatever the family background that they come from. And we also know that parents can really struggle because, you know, you're plodding along, you think you're going in one direction, all of a sudden this behaviour emerges and you think, hang on a minute, what, where, why, I don't understand what's different. So we thought we'd make this little chat to remind you about what is wrong, what is different at the moment. At this time of year, what's happening is that schools' curriculum is changing. So your child that is at school will be experiencing a different sort of school, and that can be quite confusing for a little one, especially if they've experienced lots of changes, lots of transitions in their life which maybe haven't been very happy for them, or maybe they've had to have a change because of having a very bad early experience in their life, which means that they can't live with their parents anymore. So change can become very, very hard. School sometimes works quite well for our children because it's structured, it follows a regular routine, it's more or less consistent, predictable and reliable. And those things help children. They like structure, they like routine, they like to know where their boundaries are. Now at this time of year, what typically happens is that schools have got to the end of what they need to do for their curriculum, for any exams that are happening, for any SATs, anything else, that's all finished now. And so they kind of collapse the timetable. And what happens then is that all kinds of new activities enter in. So instead of having regular lessons, you start finding lots of what we call enrichment activities. So it might be things like having a drama group in, it might be going on a school outing, it might be having sports day, it might be an achievements day, it might be let's sing a film on for them, it might be having someone coming in to tell a story. There are lots of different things going on. Like my grandson's school just last week, they had a water day in the playground where they could all play with water, throw water around and play with cardboard boxes. Now the thing is, these things sound like, wow, great fun, you know, the children are having so much fun at school at the moment. But what's actually happening is that they're being subjected to all kinds of worries and challenges because school isn't doing what school's supposed to do. The rules have gone out the window. Their friends and the children that they play with are getting really, really excited by all these activities that are happening. And sometimes the activities themselves are challenging for a variety of reasons. And then what happens is that the children start acting out their worries and their insecurity. Sometimes they do this at school. More often they do it as soon as they get home, as soon as they feel safe in their home environment. So we need to think quite carefully about what we can do about this. In addition, I just want you to think for a while about children that have come into the care system or that have faced significant challenges previously in their life for whatever reason. On top of this collapsed timetable, those children are also looking at a new teacher, a new classroom. If they've got a teaching assistant because they have additional needs, they might be looking at a new TA. They might be looking at a new classroom, almost certainly they will be. They might be looking at increased lessons, depending on where they are, whether they're reception going to year 1 or whether they're year 2 going into year 3. There might be quite a big leap in the expectations for that child, and they'll be being told all about that and about their extra responsibility. So for them, the whole world is suddenly shifting, you know, and it's very, very scary. It's really scary because who knows what change will bring. And if everything can change at school, they'll be worried that everything can change at home as well. So then you get massive issues maybe with the behaviour. So I want to think a little bit about what we can do about this. And what I think we can do about this is, first of all, find out from school exactly what the timetable is going to be over the next few weeks. That way, you can make a visual timetable for your child, and visual timetables are really useful because they give you both a point of reference that you can go back to again and again whenever the child starts looping back into, but I don't know what's happening tomorrow, or feeling a bit anxious. You can say, well, this is what we're doing tomorrow, and then you can prepare them in whatever way you know best for the new things that are going to be happening that day. So ask for a timetable from the school about any new activities that are happening between now and the end of term to help you to prepare your child, not like masses and masses and masses of time before, but the day before, or maybe at the weekend, this is what you're going to be doing this week. But my experience of children from trauma is that give them too much information and they can't keep it. So my advice is to talk the child through each day, day by day. And then I suggest you have an absolutely clear, rigid routine around what you do at home. So this is not the time for doing new experimental, going somewhere different type activities at home. This is the time to reduce choices, to have very clear timing for everything, and to keep the child feeling really quite swaddled so that they feel safe. It's not a punishment, it's really not. It's about helping the child to know that you're still there. The world in your house is still the same. You are still going to keep them safe. You are still going to meet their needs. Nothing is going to change. It's just school that's changing. I think that's really important. The other thing I think is really important, particularly for children that have additional needs or have social and emotional needs which aren't always quite recognised yet, or if they're a looked after child of any sort, engage with the school, ask them to have a transition plan. You've still got time to do this. We've still got a few weeks of school left. So ask them how they are going to help your child with this transition, bearing in mind that it is hard for the child. When are they going to meet their new teacher? How often are they going to meet their new teacher? How much time are they going to spend getting to know their new classroom? Are they going to have a taster day so they get used to the new lesson structure? Are they going to be able to sort of talk about what subjects they might be doing next year. What preparation can be done? Do you know who the new TA is going to be? Can the child meet with that TA? Can there be a bit of a changeover period so they have a chance to get to know and to trust that person? It's very tricky for a child if they're expecting one person to come and support them. When that person stops supporting them, they're not automatically going to think, oh well, of course that's because I've gone to a new class. A child from trauma is much more likely to think, what have I done wrong? Why have I got somebody different now? What have I done? I must be terrible. I must have done something wrong. That's almost certainly going to be the way they think about it. So it's important to go into school, to ask for a transition meeting, to work out how that planning is going to happen for your child. And it's worthwhile if they're going to be going into a new class, ask to take a photo of the teacher, photo of the classroom, photo of the TA, so that over the school holidays, when they're worrying about it, you'll be able to say, do you remember? This is what your class is going to look like. This is what your teacher's going to look like. And this is the person that's going to be helping you with your lessons next year. And it will just enable you to be a bit more prepared. And finally, just when you're thinking about all of these things, please remember that when you want to meet a child's needs and they're feeling really, really wobbly, the biggest, most important thing that you've got to offer them is empathy. Offer your child empathy for the fact that it's hard to have all these new things going on at school. It's hard to be doing all sorts of different activities. Even if it's quite exciting, it's still hard. Give them empathy, give them comfort, give them nurture, and when they're calm, then is the time that you can do some explaining. When you do your explaining, keep it simple, keep it short, and remember what you've said so that you can repeat yourself, because actually saying the same thing often in a very simple way is the best way to reassure your child and to help them to take that message on board. They don't need more explaining, they need less explaining. Very simple, very short. Okay everybody, so that was all I wanted to say to you today. I hope that's been useful. Do remember to go onto our website and look at our resources. That's www.naotp.com, and do keep an eye out for our other training. We've got something about the summer holidays coming very soon. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.